It's fall. Are you one of the folks who loves the pumpkin spice everything? What pumpkin spice thing do you like? Or are you not on the pumpkin spice train for the fall? This is people who usually are pretty passionate about pumpkin. They love it or hate it. Kind of interested to see. Tina's like a nope. I'm usually the kind that will do like one pumpkin spice coffee and then remind myself that it's not my jam, and I'll wait till next year and do it all over again.
My trick is I only ask for half the sweetener.
That's smart. Yeah, so it's just like a little hint of
Yeah.
it. All right. Pumpkin spice is not doing well on this call. Ooh, pumpkin pie. Yep. That is a good one. Deidre, stop ruining coffee. My coffee is black. That's usually how I roll. Great. We have so many folks joining. We're just letting everyone kind of get settled in here for the call. And we got the warm welcome up if you wanted to throw it in the chat, name, organization, and if you were on the pumpkin spice train, what you like about it, or if it is not your jam. Yeah. Ooh, Brittany is on the pumpkin train. She's been making them for a couple months. I like it.
I just
Yeah,
saw
so
pumpkin bread at Breadsmith yesterday, Mallory, and I was thinking it's about time to switch from banana.
yep. I like it. Karma, same way. Pumpkin pie, I'll take that over coffee any day. All right. Well, we are kind of in. Looks like people have slowed in. So I will go back to the agenda and I can let you take it from here, Sophie.
Sure. Thanks everyone for joining. Welcome back. I know school started last week for some, this week for most. So hopefully everyone is settling in both at work and in life. Today we're going to chat through a few updates. We're mainly going to have a conversation about ways to maintain safe routes to school momentum during the lighter funding cycles. Acknowledging last network call, we did share that the funding has lightened up this year through the legislative session. So we took some information actually from the Academy. So if you liked today's call, we highly suggest that you join the Academy this winter. And this agenda, we should have edited a little bit. The first thing we're going to do is actually do a local highlight from Carleton County. If you want to go to the next slide, Kelly. Great. And I think Emily is on.
Yes, I am.
Great. We'll pass it to you.
Yeah. Do you want me to just take it away?
Yeah,
Take it
do you want me
away.
to advance slides or would you like to share your screen?
If you could just advance it, that would be great.
Will do.
I know my computer gets weird. So I'll start. My name is Emily Morrison. I am the SHIP coordinator for Carleton County Public Health. And then I'm just going to talk about a boost grant that we got. They applied for it actually before I started, and it will be a year that I've been in this position in October. So on the screen, you just see our partners and then our boost grant. I want to highlight that we worked very closely with Fond du Lac, our tribal ship coordinator, as well as a couple other people from the Fond du Lac Band of Lake Superior Chippewa, Carrie Lehman-Tynan, which was in our injury prevention, and then a couple people, Jamie and Mandy, from their economic development. And then Allie Baczynski, my coworker as well, was the one that applied for this grant. If you want to fast forward, or perfect. So there we go. The project itself had a couple different components. So the reason that we applied for the Safe Routes to School Boost Grant is because there was a need within the city of Cloquet and the Fond du Lac Band Reservation to increase awareness, education, and safety of walking and biking within the community through an equity lens. So the four different aspects to the Safe Routes to School Boost Grant was the installation of the bicycle fix-it stations, the community mural, the community map, and then the community signage. So I'm just going to, if you want to go to the next slide, each slide is kind of going to highlight a piece of the grant that we did. So to start off, we had the bicycle fix-it stations. We include Anishinaabe and English on both of the signage. We were able to purchase 8 of those bicycle fix-it stations. So there is, let's see, 3 that were installed at the Fond du Lac Community Centers, which includes Sawyer, Brookston, and then in Cloquet, and then 1 at their Ojibwe school, 1 on Big Lake Trail, which is like a paved bike path that Fond du Lac is working on expanding. And then we installed 1, you can see this one in the picture is installed at the Pinehurst Bandshell. We installed 1 at Washington Elementary, which is a Cloquet school, and then 1 at the library in Cloquet as well. A really cool thing about these fix-it stations is for our signage, we were able to work with Fond du Lac's Cultural and Language Department. They helped us with all of our translations. And then our QR code that you see in the middle of the sign there, each station has a specific number that's identified with it. And if you scan that QR code, it brings you to a quick little survey that we're able to gather information on, like what you liked, what you'd like to see to promote biking and walking within the community. And then one of the main reasons we really wanted this QR code was to help us to make sure that the maintenance and parts are working within those fix-it stations there and make sure that they're maintained well. And we worked with our internal GIS department here at Carleton County to help us create that survey and that QR code. And actually, just last week, we had somebody report that something was broken on one of them out at the Brookston Community Center. So I was able to get in touch with Fond du Lac's Public Works Department, and they were able to get out there that day and actually fix it, which is really exciting. And it was cool to just see like a closed loop of that actually happening. So really exciting about that. Those were installed a year ago now. So we're slowly seeing things trickle in on that. So go ahead and I see something about Duro, but yes, those were we ordered them through Saris actually, and they were about, I want to say, I can't remember exactly, but the fix-it station, the pump are sold separate, so I think they're about 1,200 roughly a piece for that. And then next we'll talk a little bit about the community mural. We put out an RFP for a local Indigenous artist to design this mural. The mural is located at the Pinehurst Bandshell, which if you're not from the area, you probably don't know a lot about it, but it's a big bandshell, and we have a community sand bottom pool within the city of Cloquet, so a lot of people meet there. It's actually a location that is owned by the city, so you can see the city is located or involved in a lot of this. They actually installed all of our signage and fix-it stations in kind for us, which was amazing. But as you can see, this mural, this was on our grand opening day. So we had a drum group there. Our local artist that we contracted with hosted community paint night. So community members could come in and paint a section of the mural, which was amazing. It was highlighted on the news. We presented at the city council and worked with their public works department to ensure that the mural itself was going to be safe, secure, that if vandalism was going to happen, who was going to be in charge of it, cleaning it off, all that kind of stuff we worked out. During our grand opening, we partnered with our tribal ship coordinator again, and they were able to secure us our drum group. We did a ribbon cutting, we had some food, and then we did water bottle and sticker giveaways. The stickers are in the shape of the mural. They look exactly like it, and they're reflective, which is really cool. And it was just a wonderful celebration. We had county commissioners there, city councilors there, we had RBC members there. So it was really cool to have all community come together and celebrate this opening. A quick note on the mural, it's actually not installed on the bandshell directly. It was painted and designed on plywood, and then they framed the arch where you see it is right there. They framed it in and then installed the mural right on the frame that they installed. So very cool, very large. You can see it from the road, which is amazing. You can go to the next slide. You probably can't see it super well, but on this, we were able to design a map that we gave out to a variety of different communities, like our Chamber of Commerce. We're giving them out to the schools for walk to bike to school day. But we all came together and designed like all the bike lanes, the pave paths, all that kind of stuff within the city of Cloquet on a smaller scale, not the entire city, but where our schools are located. And then out to the Fond du Lac reservation to include the school as well. But we worked again with our artists to design this. We designed the map internally. We included art, as you can see, like the canoe and the florals relate to like our overall mural that was installed. So we tie back to it. And then we worked with the language department again to do all the translations of like the roads, the locations, the map itself, all that kind of stuff. So we were able to order those and get them out into community as well. And then the last slide, the last aspect of this was doing additional community signage to promote biking and walking safety within our community. So you can see our artist designed this, and it ties into the mural as well with the canoe, but then promotes different ways of transportation. Something really cool about these signs is they're actually double-sided and they're reflective. And they will be going, we were able to get 8 of those as well. So they'll be going some in similar locations as the bicycle fix-it stations, but others closer to like heavily trafficked sidewalks. Not within the right of way, but like they'll be installed, and they were actually just completed last week, which is really exciting. And the city picked them up on Friday, and Fond du Lac picked theirs up yesterday. So hopefully we'll get those installed here by the end of the month, and then we can get some pictures. But once again, we worked with our translations to keep moving forward with the good we're given, is what it translates to, but it just ties back into the original ways of transportation and community and highlights that connection between our two communities coming together. I feel like that was really fast, but I know I had limited time. So if anyone has questions or anything, I'm available to answer those as well. But it was really great. We, as Carleton County, we work a lot with our tribal ship and on other things as well. So we were really thankful to work on this grant together and promote this within our community too.
Emily, I just had a couple of more questions about
Yeah.
the price of the fix-it stations. So when you said roughly, or thought about $1,200 a station, did that include the concrete?
So I have no, it did not, because our city and Fond du Lac Works just installed that in kind as they were doing other projects. They just did it. A lot of them went on slabs that were already existing. So honestly, I have no idea what it would have costed with the concrete.
Okay, so then some of the bike stations, then you can like, if I'm understanding you correctly, you can literally set them on concrete and use concrete screws? Yeah, okay. I thought you had to install them with like fresh concrete. And then my other question, if you know about how much was the boost grant that you guys received?
It was around 50,000, I think. I can't, that's really bad. I should know the answer to that.
Okay, thank you. Good work.
Yeah.
Looks like Ashley has a question. You can come off mute.
Hi, where did you get the signs made as well, or did you order those through Daryl?
We actually made the signs through a local company right in town. So we use our local signage shop, which is Graphic Technology. We designed them internally on the layout, all that kind of stuff, sent it over to him, and then he was able to design them and get everything ordered. There was a little delay. He, like how it's kind of like that hexagon shape at top. he couldn't, that's what we really wanted, and he couldn't really find anything like that for a while. So at first it took a little bit, but once we got them, we wanted all the signs posts to stay the same. So there was continuity and they all looked like they were part of the same project. But yeah, our local sign shop took care of all that for us.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. Any other questions? Otherwise, we're excited to get our signs installed and then take more pictures of everything. Oh, yeah, now I see a hand.
Emily, do you, and this is maybe a question for anybody who's installed these, but did you by any chance submit to Google Maps where these are located? Or have you thought of doing that? I have been thinking about that a lot because I did it for 2 of the communities in my area, and it's so nice to go out there and you can just search for bike repair stations and they show up in Google now.
Right. And I think you were the one that told us about this at the network meetup. But we have not done that yet. Our plan is to hopefully do that here in the next couple weeks, because I think that would be amazing to get them submitted, because I love that idea. But we have not done it yet.
These are great tips, and there's a lot of good chat going on in the chat from other folks about ways to maintain it, whether it's local advocates helping to make sure stuff is there, having businesses maybe advertise to do a cost share and lower the or increase the amount that a grant or SHIP or a local community can pay for them. All right, well, I think for time, I think we'll move on. Thank you, Emily, so much for sharing your work. It's such a great project to highlight like an equity strategy and a rural small community strategy, and like package a lot of, like, you could just do bike fix-it stations or the mural that is where like bike rides are led, but you package everything together so nicely, and then having the artwork go throughout all the pieces, I think is just a fantastic project. So kudos.
I just want to make a comment on what Luke just posted. On the stations that we ordered, there's actually a QR code that people can scan, and it takes them to how to use the tools that are there. Because that was a question that we had. Like, do we have to create something? Because we're no experts in this and then we need to find one, but it actually is right on the station. We didn't have to pay extra for that. It just came like that. So, yeah.
Great. Thank you so much, Emily.
Yeah.
Good.
Thank you.
All right, Sophie, it's you.
Alrighty. So as we mentioned at the top of the call, Kelly and I thought of thinking through ways in which to maintain the momentum this school year for partners around the Safe Routes to School program. So I'm going to go through a few of the evaluation and engagement really to start the conversation of like, how can we prepare for this school year and keep that momentum? Hopefully none of this is new to you, but I just wanted to remind you of all of the ways you can stay in engagement. So the first one is the parent caregiver survey. It is done online. You can put this in the district survey, so there's not another survey. You could have it at a community event, tabling events, and so forth. The thing we wanted to outline on this is that the graph on the right is really consistent results of what we get for parent caregiver surveys, really around that safety intersection, the amount of traffic, and that speed. And those are 3 things that we can help address, right? Like distance, we're not going to move everybody closer. Weather and climate, we can do a little bit, but not a lot. But those top 3 things we can really think through and try to apply for funds to help top 3 concerns we see often. The links for all of these as we go too. Student survey is another one. So takes annually. It's in the classroom. You can have it at the beginning of the school year. It's really just to understand those travel behaviors of the students. Some districts have integrated this into electronic form where they just have them finished in their iPads at the beginning of the school day. And it really, again, gathers that data for the travel behavior for the students. And it's an easy lift to kind of see where you all are at. Next slide.
Yeah, and I'll just jump in and say the data collected from the student survey or the parent caregiver survey Those are typically questions that are asked on our infrastructure applications or non-infrastructure applications. So if your plan is old or you don't have a plan, collecting this data this year is going to set you up very well for next year's infrastructure or non-infrastructure grants.
The next tool, the school zone hazard observation tool, this one is really helpful for the infrastructure grants, and it really identifies those critical issues that are decreasing the safety for walking and biking around the school. This is what the tool looks like. As you can see, yes, total drivers, pedestrians, but then you can put other in. So if there's really specific concerns in your neighborhood that you've heard either from that parent caregiver survey or otherwise, you can put those in and then observe during arrival and dismissal. It's been really helpful, and you can do this multiple times. You can do this mornings and evenings during the winter if there's winter concerns and so forth. But it's that data gathering to really justify and elevate your application in the future.
And I'll just jump in again. Sorry,
Yeah.
Sophie.
No, Kelly knows a lot, so she'll jump.
I saw a lot of TZD folks joining us today, and I just wanted to call out this tool as a great one for some of those local safe communities and TZD coalitions, because it looks at behavior and not just numbers of walkers and bikers. So are they using the crosswalk? Are drivers distracted and on their phones? Does it feel like drivers are speeding or not stopping? Like, those are some things that might be safe routes, but also be TZD efforts. And so just throwing that out there is maybe some of the partners who can help get some of this data. Or this tool doesn't just have to be used around schools. It could be used in some other key locations where there's some areas of concern.
Thank you. Student tallies, again, this is done annually at the beginning of the school year. It's a 3-day block, and we do 3 days just in case there's weather, there's events taking place, and so forth. And this is one of the only ways in which school districts can see how kids are getting to school if they are not on the bus route. And it's really impactful to then go to leadership and say, okay, this many students are taking the bus, but look at how others are getting there, right? And can we shift from a family vehicle to that walking, biking, or carpool situation? Next slide. This is another one. If you have done a Safe Routes to School plan, you know this tool. It's a really great one, specifically thinking through like local wellness policy work. But the Safe Routes to School environment policy, it is done by the school administration. And the really important thing is here is it's a really clear ask for administration to review Safe Routes to School language across the district. It only needs to be done once unless policies have been updated and changed. And it gives that ownership to them of, yes, we are encouraging, or no, we are not really encouraging, but we're saying you can look at it or you can do it if you want to walk and bike. And how can we strengthen that language to really make an environment where kiddos and school staff feel like they want to walk and bike? Next slide. This is just what it looks like. So how does your school address wellness policy? If you have it, if you don't have it, does it prohibit or encourage? How does your transportation policy, thinking about collaboration from different local law enforcement and so forth. And it really just goes down that list. For folks that are maybe the Safe Routes to School champion, the ask could be to the leadership of, can you complete this? Or can we have a meeting and talk through this together and I can help you complete it as well. But it just gives that high level policy sense of kind of where we're at. Another tool that you may or may not know is we have a school implementation project checklist. So we know that there's over, I think it's 1,000 plans now across the state, Safe Routes to School plans. And our hope is when your plan is done, you implement it, but we know there's change of priorities, staff, and so forth. So this type of checklist really is helpful to say, where are we at? Where are our priorities? What has been implemented? What should we focus on? And this can then help with future applications to say, our next priority is X, and this is how we're going to focus on this for the next school year. So kind of that framework to have those conversations. Next.
Yeah, and I'll also say with this one, it was helpful. I know reviewing grant applications on my end, people who had used this or looked at their plan and they were able to say, you know, we've completed 65% of our Safe Routes plan. on the grant review side, that is really impressive and shows that the project has a high likelihood of success and is a good investment. So having some numbers and data like that is really impactful for grant applications or, promoting this and elevating this within your communities.
The next kind of resource we just wanted to call out is portable ped and bike counters. This could be near school grounds or near an intersection of concern. I just dropped the link. Each of our regions have access to a free ped bike counter to be installed. So if that is an interest to you, we also have Jacob and Ryan on our active transportation team at central office. That could help as well. So if there's an intersection of concern, it's really helpful to get this data number 2 of saying this many kids are crossing here, right? But there's another benefit of even outside of the school day of usage of there's really high traffic between 8 and 3, but then there's also really high traffic between 6 and 9, and being able to connect both that school and the community neighborhood broadly. So there's use for it if you're interested at all. Highly recommend reaching out to Jacob and Ryan for the ped bike counting support. We just wanted to call out the Minnesota Student Survey as another kind of tool to think through as a data source of how to kind of understand your community in a really light lift. So the last survey was just done this spring in 2025. They're currently looking at all the data and cleaning it up, so it should be available this fall. We were able to put 2 questions in there, which is a very, very big win. I think it was 2 iterations ago. But the 2 questions on a typical day, how do you get to school and how you get home from school? And this gives, again, that really high level of this many students are walking and biking. And we do know that nearly 80% of the schools have completed this in the state. So it gives more of that high level state comparison as well. Next one. We just wanted to call out too we know that there's a lot of community events, school events taking place this fall, and data collection can be anywhere. If you talk to Kelly and I enough, we'll be like, why don't we collect data? Why don't we get those stories? So there is always an opportunity. But we just wanted to give a few examples. So if you're at a bike rodeo, can you do a dotmocracy? That's what this picture is did you learn? Did you not learn? New skills and so forth. You can have QR codes at events for surveys. It's super easy for them to scan and complete the QR code later. Volunteering at events, or even quick message or evaluations of like fist to 5, how much did you learn today and so forth. Next. The last one that I will just chat through quickly are walk audits. They're really, really great ways to have outdoor hands-on evaluation opportunity, both for school partners, safe routes to school leads, and then like city and stakeholders. You do it as needed, of course, but it really gives that personal experience of this is how we walk and bike to school. Here's our challenges, that lived experience, so that when folks go back to their office and so forth. I know Ellen will drop it in the chat, but we are doing the SHIP conference is having 2 sessions for walk audit. So if this is new to you, if you want to just know like how do we set this up, how do we talk through this, it'll be at the SHIP conference on the 17th and 18th. Also, Ellen is going to be hosting the SHIP active transportation call next Thursday, and she's going to do an outline of what a walk audit is 101, kind of delay the groundwork for that SHIP conference. So if you're interested, Ellen, I'm going to have them reach out to you to get on that network call for yours. We also have several guides that we'll drop in the chat, and technical assistance is always available. Okay, I know I just sped through a lot of things. Is there any questions, reflections? We'll give it a moment.
Would these still be beneficial to attend if you're like with a district starting the safe routes planning process this fall?
Yeah, definitely.
I see Kelly's head nodding, so awesome.
Yep, you'll be doing walk audits when you're planning grant portion anyways. So if you were to attend these, you would have a more familiarity of kind of what that structure is, what to think through, and just be more comfortable in participation.
Thank you.
Walk audits are, I mean, they're great to identify where some of those uncomfortable areas are, but they're also really good at getting partners on board with the need, or getting partners together to think about prioritizing a certain project higher than something else. So you don't need, like, we actually don't want you to be an engineer or transportation planner up there. We want you to go out there and just experience it. Does it feel unsafe crossing? Are there like trees hitting you in the face as you're walking down? Are there dogs barking? Is the sidewalk crumbling? You know, these are not things we would see on just a map and looking at network connectivity. It is just how it feels. And some of those things are easy fixes, and some of them might require some bigger strategies. And that's where we could get those partners on board to submit a grant application or redirect existing city county funding towards a project or a fix. So the walk audit trainings that Ellen is going to do are going to be fantastic. It is such a good way to do this work, whether it's safe routes or active living, active transportation. It's not a hard ask to ask a partner, hey, it's still sunny out, it's still fall, can we go for a walk? And then you can have some of those conversations and see what doesn't feel right.
Great. Kelly, I think the next section is for you.
Cool. All right, I will keep going here. So the other thing coming from August, I know it was kind of a bummer to hear that we're not going to have any non-infrastructure infrastructure grants this year. I just want to say we've been super fortunate the last 4 or 5 years to have some funding, both for infrastructure and non-infrastructure. Being in this work, being in Safe Routes for 15 years, the last 5 years have been great. And now we're kind of going into a slower year, and the pendulum just swings this way. The work is still needed, and the work just might look different. So it might not be as much about thinking of grants or projects where we can buy stuff, but thinking more about building those partnerships, thinking about policies that are going to make this work sticky and be there long after you've won the lottery and are doing other things. And so kind of what I'm going to talk about are some of these broader like policies, systems, environmental change strategies, or things to consider with partners in lieu of chasing funding this year. And it will also set you up really great for funding if you have some policies that you can point to. So we're going to kind of think about where are ways that we can bring that stickiness factor, something that's going to make this work just be a part of normal systems. That's just kind of our default setting. So we're thinking about school policies. We're thinking about city and county transportation policies, or ways that things are funded, or prioritization of projects. We're thinking about building those partnerships so that when funding becomes available in the next couple of years, you guys are ready to go. You have the data you needed that Sophie mentioned. The partnerships are ready. Those letters of support are an easy ask. So then you're just kind of filling out the grant application with the data you have. So I think Sophie set you up nicely, and we'll talk about some of the other work that you can do. The first one that I want to call it is a complete streets policy. This is extremely helpful. If you've been working to try and do active transportation in communities, it can be really tiring to kind of have that battle or work towards having all modes considered on your streets. So you're going to burn out fast that way. Complete streets policy is where we're changing the systems that when a project is coming up, our partners are thinking through all modes. How do people walk here? How do people bike here? Is transit used here? And then, of course, our vehicle drivers. It does not mean bike lanes on all streets. It just means that during that scoping and cost consideration process, folks are thinking about, is this a route that is used for those other modes, and should we consider those additions, so that it doesn't require getting all the way down the line to city council or getting maybe construction materials on the street before we're starting to think about bikes and peds, or thinking about having to chase grant dollars down the road to fix the project later when we can fix it from the start. Complete streets policies do receive points on our state infrastructure grant applications. So having a complete streets policy will be helpful in seeking state grant funds. And while there's not a specific one called out for federal funds like Safe Streets for All, it is something that you can put in the narrative section and is very well received nationally. One thing I'll say about complete streets policies is we need to have a policy for every roadway authority. So MnDOT does have a complete streets policy. Lake City is kind of shown there as an example of a complete streets policy on one of the state-owned roadways. I know Tina's on here and it can talk about that. It can be a little contentious, but it's certainly a long-term fix using funds that were already allocated. So MnDOT roads have a complete streets policy and should be bringing those bike and ped amenities as much as we can. But city and county should also have a complete streets policy so that your whole community is covered. Maybe you might be able to get it done at a county more than a city, and time will tell. But thinking about all those roadway authorities and working towards those complete streets policies, there are tons of resources nationally around complete streets that you can look at. And also know that if complete streets has become a bad term in your community, people have renamed it or incorporated it with other things. So maybe it's Safe Streets policy. Maybe it is Green Streets policy, and it's incorporating water drain off and things like rain gardens and things like that to help water quality in those boulevards or medians that have also created a refuge zone for our people who are walking or biking. So really good strategy, can be longer term. We've also seen communities who don't fully adopt a policy, but their city council or county board might adopt a resolution in support of complete streets. And that is, again, a good step forward and something that you can hold those elected officials to or accountable for with the complete streets policy. So Smart Growth America, there's a National Complete Streets Coalition, has several resources. You can see where policies have been. You can see examples of policies, find communities that are your size that have a policy, and this is just a great tool there. If the full complete streets policy feels too big or partners might be a little concerned about it, having a sidewalk policy for your community is ideal. So what this would mean is for any new development or reconstruction, the community is considering that a sidewalk needs to be there. So a new developer is building a subdivision, it is on them to put that sidewalk in, and the cost is for the developer. Rather than something that the city would have to find funding for down the road. One thing I'll say is that in 2016 for state infrastructure for safe routes to school, there was a legislative policy passed where communities have to have some form of a safe routes to school policy. And what we really mean there is that, as you know, we don't have enough grant funds to fix everything. And so to prioritize that, everything after 2016, we need to see those sidewalk policies so that a new school isn't being built and then reaching out to us for infrastructure assistance, because we know so many schools that have historically been around might be lacking those connections via sidewalks or bikes. So we kind of want to support that. So it is a helpful thing to have, again, for those infrastructure pieces. And you can kind of have a policy that might look a little different depending on the need, whether it's a policy or a resolution that is in support of new development or reconstruction on sidewalks. Another one that is, I think, really important in lifting up that there's never going to be enough grant dollars. So starting to look internally into your city and county and the way they fund things might be a helpful big policy to look at. So a sidewalk improvement program is one of those. So instead of assessing the owner or business owner and having them pay maybe a large fee, here I have it on this one. This is an example from Rochester. So instead of having them pay $3,000 to $5,000 for that sidewalk, there is a fee associated on property taxes to everyone, business owners and homeowners, that is about, let's see, it's $57 per person every year. And that is going to go in and fill in the sidewalks as the funds are pooled across the whole population. And then they prioritize infill of sidewalks, and some of the high pedestrian areas. And so it is a way over time that we are going to fill in and do infill in sidewalks for full connectivity, while also maintaining and improving sidewalks that might be in poor condition or outdated. So strong policy to try and seek funding internally rather than searching for grant funding. And maybe there's some way that this can happen or a creative solution, but wanted to throw it out there. And Rochester has implemented it for resources or an example to share with your partners. Another thing to look at policy-wise would be snow removal policy. Does your city have a snow removal policy? How many hours is it? Is it 24 hours after a snow event, 48 hours, a half inch, an inch? And kind of looking to see what's working or what the barriers are. So maybe there is a policy and you're bumping it from 48 hours to 24 hours. Or maybe it's looking at where the city and county are plowing first and saying, hey, we want our routes for students who are walking and biking prioritized first to be cleared. Because they're going to be out there the earliest walking to school, that is showing that need more than other areas. Another one that I will just throw out there is in some communities kind of looking at where the city could maybe help support snow removal, especially in smaller communities. We can see that where the city is like, it is more work for us to plow our area, lift it up, not plow a couple sidewalks, put it back down for our library, lift it up, not plow a couple sidewalks, put it down for City Hall. Where they will just plow that entire like downtown core, including the houses and residential areas. And that can be really helpful for our seniors to keep in their houses longer, because the number one reason they have to leave is they can't maintain the lawn and they can't do snow removal. So another equity strategy there, and kind of support some of other public health strategies perhaps that you're working on. And then there's long-range transportation plans in your communities. So thinking about, is safe routes included in there, active transportation? Are we prioritizing students or vulnerable road users in that transportation planning for bikes, peds, and other modes, micromobility modes of transportation? So some different examples of how you could do it related to goals or projects, or kind of thinking about equity and safety. Long-range transportation plans are typically, separate, and there might be ways to incorporate those. Or for the communities who are starting to think about their comprehensive plan updates, there's some of this language that might be able to go in there in the transportation sections. Citywide speed limit. So I think we have and will be talking about school speed zones. But if you really want to take this to the next level and think about maybe Vision Zero for youth, is we don't just want kids to be safe crossing to school. We want them to be safe crossing all the places they need or want to go. So a few years ago, the state legislature did make it available that cities can lower speeds without going through MnDOT or the Commissioner of Transportation to get approval to do that. Lower speed saves lives. When someone is hit at 20 miles per hour, there's a very high chance of survival. If someone gets hit at 40 miles per hour, there is a very low chance for survival. So we don't want those crashes to happen, but if they do, we certainly want to give people those best chances. So there's 40 plus cities across the state who have done these citywide speed limit lowering policies. You can see some examples of signs, how it is promoted that slower is safer. It does not mean that every road is going to be 20 or 25, but those areas where it makes sense can get lowered around schools, around parks, around other areas that people are walking or biking. It doesn't mean your arterials and other areas have to be lower speed, but it's giving some consistency, so we're not looking for speeds changing around and things like that. So a really great idea for safe routes to school, your active transportation work, or for our TZD partners who are also looking to address speed. Your school partners, your school wellness committees, we kind of talked about that environment and policy assessment that Sophie mentioned, of looking at, is there anything about walking and biking encouragement or walking and biking to school in that school wellness policy? Is that something that the school wellness committee could look at in supporting walk and bike to school day events, or walk and bike education type events as one of their focus areas or priority areas for the year? It can be very helpful to kind of lock that in and have that be something that is going on past your work with the school. So a couple different examples there. We're short on time, so I'm going to keep going. Safe Routes to School plan updates. If you have a plan, there's still ways that you can kind of do some updates without doing that full plan. If your plan, say, is from 2015, but you haven't been able to do much infrastructure change, there's not much of a need for a plan to be redone if there hasn't been much movement. What you could do is kind of create an addendum or a one pager that is the update of the evaluation and engagement data that Sophie was talking about. You got new walk and bike routes or new walk and bike data. You have parent caregiver survey data that you can include, and you can also include a list of what has been accomplished since that plan is there. Those are all components that would be used in a grant application. So doing it this year is going to set partners up for grant applications in the future, and you're not trying to scramble and get it done in the 30 days that the grant application is open. Maintenance
I will
classes.
just say on that one, Kelly, we have seen addendums on infrastructure grants, and it's a bonus versus a like tick on your application score. So it only would benefit you if you do the updates and addendums.
Yeah, thanks. Maintenance classes, again, especially in small and rural communities where they don't have a bike shop or bike shop's really far away, putting it in community ed classes, having a mechanic out there at the farmer's market, so you're connecting into some of your healthy eating work, can be great. A lot of times there's a lot of good bikes in the community, but they're in poor repair, and someone just keeps meaning to look up YouTube on how to fix it, and they don't. So having some of these options in the community can help fill that gap where there isn't a traditional bike shop to support that. And thinking about building that capacity beyond the funding, again, I always say, like, you got to be a friend to get a friend. So building those strong partnerships. So when opportunities with funding or a new program, a new effort's coming in, it's an easy call, text, email to a partner and say, hey, you want to get crazy and do this with me? And then they're on board because they know that you're going to get it done and it's going to be a good use of time. So again, just to kind of wrap up, there's a lot we can be doing that are low or no cost strategies that are going to advance our work or set us up for future funding when it becomes more available. So getting some data, doing some evaluation, getting those partners together, collecting success stories that can be included in grant applications as supplemental material, thinking about some of that programming, again, showing that the encouragement strategies are happening. So when infrastructure is put in place, they know that there is going to be promotion and encouragement of use of it. So other things you can do is if you have a Safe Routes to School team, you have a community leadership team, you have a TZD team, maybe kind of thinking through these of what are these things that we need to keep? What is more realistic for us to sustain with maybe lowered capacity or fewer funding? What at this time can we let go because we don't have funding or it's not as impactful as other strategies? And where are those opportunities for that stickiness factor that we can embed to existing policies or plans that Safe Routes isn't in one place, that it is consistently thought about in multiple people's professional roles. And that is going to help keep it a priority and keep it around longer. So I'm going to throw it back to you, Sophie, to talk about some scenarios that might help resemble your community and what you could be thinking of this year.
Thanks. Before we start, is there any questions, reflections that you have on what Kelly covered? If not, we'll go through the scenarios and then you can come off mute afterwards. But we've heard this in our office hours and conversations. So we wanted to pull some scenarios that you might be experiencing. So the first one, what if my community partners are more engaged than my school partners? What can I do? So again, those policies, right? Complete streets, sidewalk, citywide school speed zone, figuring out that Whitner maintenance. Can we get a funding line in the city or budget, right? Like even a $10,000 budget line item or $5,000 gives a little bit of cushion that if you need something in that school year, if you need a new painted sidewalk and so forth, there's a little bit of that support. Can we integrate into those, again, those long range active transportation or Vision Zero plans? Next scenario. Great. So we're done with our Safe Routes to School plan. We just did it for 12 months. We have all the information. How do we now implement this? So first, thinking through who's going to be that core Safe Routes to School team. That planning team may have been really big because we needed a lot of people at the table to give their perspective, but maybe that core team doesn't need to be so big. Can you set up reoccurring meetings quarterly or biannually of talking through what have we done, where we want to go, are we applying for anything? Are we doing any programs? A hot tip on that is if you have agenda items that people have to come back and do share outs, it holds them a little bit more accountable to doing their action between those meetings. Again, that implementation, can we prioritize projects mid, short, and long term? Where do we want to start? And then if we do need additional funding, who's going to lead that? Who's going to coordinate it? How are we going to get this done in a timely fashion? Next one, Kelly. How can we scale in rural communities? Again, leveraging those regional hubs, beginning with those low cost, high impact strategies. So those are event days, those are bike rodeos, learn to rides, those things that get so many people excited about walking and biking so that when we have to get into the kind of harder conversations, they remember the fun they had. Building local champions. This could be in the school, but it can also be people around it, right? To really support that integration into existing systems, realizing or thinking through smaller communities, their whole community might be a size to be able to walk and bike. Some of these larger communities and cities, we are not able sizably to walk and bike the whole thing comfortably between before and after school, right? So thinking through how can we have benefits of a small rural community to support walking and biking, and then being able to adapt programming to fit that rural context. Instead of doing bus or walk to school day, maybe it's a bus remote drop off so all kids can participate. Maybe it's a district-wide event because all kids go to one school versus several schools, and so forth. Last one, I believe that we often get is winter months. As we know, there's like 9 months of winter in Minnesota on a good winter month, good winter year. So what can we do during the winter months to maintain that momentum? Winter walk audits. I know Ellen dropped that in as a really great thing to do as well. So thinking through desired paths, snow removal, is there lighting needs? And then all the winter programming. So most of our programming that we do during the fall and spring, we can also do in the winter. We just may have to adjust it a little bit and get creative. Next. Yes, we have one more. We know some communities have very energetic folks that really want to help with safe routes to school, and thinking through how can we channel that advocacy energy into something supportive, right? So can we ask these advocates to help update engagement data? Can they table at events? Can they lead the assessment or walk audits? Can we have resource mobilization? Can we demonstrate, or what's the right word? Spread out all of this energy for event days, leveraging grants and funding. Sometimes folks can help with those grant writing, being those letter of supports, or really doing some of that advocacy and additional support that maybe our school partners don't have the time and capacity to do, but they really want to do. Next. Okay. Any thoughts, reflections? Otherwise, we'll go through the MnDOT update quick, but I'm going to give it 1 minute to see if anyone wants to come off mute. Okay. That was like 30 seconds, but we'll go for it. Okay, just a reminder, we're starting the school year, if you haven't forgot yet. So the first event is October 8th, Walk to School Day. Registration is open. We'll drop the links for that. We are super excited to see all the great events taking place across the state. Next slide. So if you register by Friday, the September 19th, we'll send out a package for you to make sure that, or to help support your event. Next slide. Just a reminder, the Resource Center does have toolkits, languages, or like promotional materials and all the things for your event. So check that out. Again, the toolkit of what it is, guides, translated materials, flyers, and so forth. We will be doing a photo contest again this year. You can go to the next slide, Kelly. So if you submit it by October 17th, the winning photo gets bragging rights, high reward. And we may be sending out some more information or some more requests of if you can send some videos in and such, since we are hosting the national conference next year, of just giving all that energy around Walk and Bike Day. Just a reminder, the National Virtual Summit is taking place in October. We will drop the link for that. If you are interested, please register. We are just in contact, getting everything organized. It's going to be really fun. It's free for you to attend. We purchased the registration, and it's great networking. 3 days to hang out with folks instead of maybe doing other work. Reminder that November 14th is Ruby Bridges Walk to School Day. If your community is going to do something for Ruby Bridges, we ask that you let us know. We just want to know. National Partnership has asked us several times too, what are Minnesota schools doing? So we just want to be able to highlight all your great work. Next slide. If you are interested for Walk Bike Fun Training, there's 2 taking place in the Metro. St. Paul is on October 6th. Richfield is October 23rd. If you want something in your community, highly suggest reaching out to Angela. She's still trying to fill for fall and spring across the state. And then a nudge, the Safe Routes to School Academy. We just wrapped up 8 weeks last week. It was really great. You can see some of the feedback here. The next academy is going to be in early 2026. So if you school partners are interested, if you have somebody that you really wish would know more about Safe Routes to School, but you don't have capacity to teach them, send them our way, and we'll help. It's been really great, and we're looking forward to it. Just a reminder, conference again, October 20th to the 22nd of 2026. And then we always have office hours weekly on Tuesdays from 12 to 1. Hop in for 5 minutes, hop in for the whole time to chat with us. Usually the whole team's on. And just a note for the upcoming, we have 3 more network calls for this school year or this fall. And then we will start back up in February for the next cycle. But next conversation will be on school zones and school streets. I think we got through it all.
Yeah. Tina had a question in there. I'll just go over it. So the virtual summit, there is, if you want an individual ticket, you can do that, and then you can view it from anywhere you want. Instead of doing scholarships, which internally was a paperwork nightmare, we purchased, and we will have viewing sites across the state that for you as a person, individual, it is free. So you can come to the viewing site, you can watch it, you can bring partners, you can come for half a day, all 3 days, whatever works for you. But it was our way of trying to help make this low cost to get some national information and examples to kind of get you energized about your work. So that again is available to anyone to attend for free. If you already bought a registration, then you can watch it from anywhere.
Kelly, can you go back to the viewing site locations?
Yes.
I'm going to stop recording, but Kelly and I will